Everyone, and thank you for joining today's educational webinar with Cancer Support Community Los Angeles. I'm Kathy Riley, the Associate Director of Programs at CSCLA, and I'm honored to welcome you to this week's webinar titled Nutrition and Cancer Prevention. Before we begin, if this is your first time joining us, Cancer Support Community Los Angeles is the premier nonprofit organization providing vital social and emotional support to families facing cancer, including patients, caregivers, and their loved ones, all at no cost. And our programs include support groups, healthy lifestyle classes, social activities, and educational programs such as this one. And if you'd like to learn more about our services or watch past webinars, you can visit our website at cancersupportla.org. And before I introduce today's wonderful speaker, please note that your video and microphone are automatically disabled for this webinar. You may, though, enter your questions into that Q&A feature that's found at the bottom of the Zoom window at any time. And we really welcome questions from all of you throughout the webinar, but the questions will be answered at the end of the presentation. We may not be able to get to all of your questions, but we'll get to as many as possible. And it gives me great pleasure to introduce our speaker. Nune Azaryan is a registered dietitian and certified nutrition support clinician with more than 10 years of experience. She has been working as an inpatient oncology dietitian at City of Hope for the past 9 years. Nune is currently covering the hematology unit, where patients receive allogeneic or autologous transplants and CAR T-cell therapies. She completed her Bachelor of Science and Master's in Nutritional Science degrees, along with a Dietetic Internship at California State University of Los Angeles. On her days off, Nune loves to spend time with her husband and son. She loves cooking, reading, hiking, and spending time with family and friends. Nune, welcome to our webinar today. We're really thrilled to have you.
Thank you so much, Kathy. I'm very honored to be here tonight as well. So today I'm going to talk about the nutrition and cancer prevention. I'm going to review what the evidence is showing when it comes to cancer prevention. Before I begin, I want to look at this pie chart, which shows the probable causes of the cancer. As you can see, diet and exercise plays 33% when it comes to cancer prevention. The development of cancer is still not fully understood. There are many unanswered questions, but scientists estimate that by making changes to our lifestyle, at least 2/3 of cancer could be prevented. For some cancers, that amount could be greater. It is estimated that half of all breast cancer, 1 in 3 cases of lung cancer, and 3 in 4 cases of colon and rectal cancer could be prevented. In 2018, the World Cancer Research Fund and the American Institute for Cancer Research jointly established recommendations for cancer prevention. Through analysis and review of all the literature on food, nutrition, physical activity, and cancer by an expert panel. So what they came up with is the dietary guidelines to prevent cancer. As you can see on the screen, there's 8 of them, and I'm going to review each section one by one. These recommendations are aimed at the overall prevention of cancer and are compatible with the 2020-2025 dietary guidelines for Americans, which focuses on promoting overall health, reducing the prevalence of overweight and obesity, and preventing diet-related chronic diseases. So number one from that recommendation is to choose most of the foods you eat from plant sources. Why? Because plant foods are rich in phytochemicals, vitamins, and minerals that as part of the whole food may protect against cancer in different ways. Diets rich in vegetables, fruits, and whole grains are linked with less risk for cancers of the mouth, pharynx, larynx, esophagus, lung, stomach, pancreas, liver, colon, rectum, and breast. Number two from the recommendation is to limit consumption of red and processed meats. Among possible dietary contributors to cancer, red meat and animal fat appear to stand out. There's some studies link diets high in animal products to an increase in cancer of the colon, rectum, pancreas, breast, lung, stomach, endometrium, kidney, and prostate. So the risk of developing colorectal cancer increases by an estimated 12% for every 100 grams of red meat consumed. And 100 grams is 3.5 in ounces. And 16% for every 50 grams of processed meat consumed daily. If you have to have red meat, I would highly recommend to limit the consumption to no more than 3 portions per week. So that's about 12 to 18 ounces of cooked weight of red meat. I would highly recommend to avoid processed meats, but if you have to have it, definitely try to limit it as much as possible. So what are some examples of reducing the red meat? You can try to have 2 or 3 times a week fish instead of red meat, or lean poultry, or you can even try vegetarian protein such as legumes, beans, lentils, chickpeas, just to name a few examples. There is a strong evidence that red meat and processed meats are causes of colorectal cancer. You also want to avoid charcoal-grilled meats, overcooked burnt meats, and smoked foods. Polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, or PAHs, are formed by cooking foods at high temperatures. PAHs are a group of over 100 chemicals. They generally have a low degree of acute toxicity to humans, but the most significant endpoint of PAH toxicity is cancer through chronic exposure. So if you're constantly eating barbecued meats on a regular basis, there's a link for chronic. The National Research Council's report, Diet, Nutrition, and Cancer, noted studies showing lab animals developed gastrointestinal and lung tumors upon high dose exposures to PAH. And population studies have found PAH exposure was associated with cancer in humans. This concern warrants recommendations to limit exposure to barbecued meats and avoid charred meats as much as possible. What are some tips to safely grill meats? Before cooking, you can trim away fat and skin. You can marinate meats at least 30 minutes before cooking. Pre-cook in oven or microwave to decrease grill time. You can also avoid overcooking by using a thermometer so you can check the safe internal temperature. Make sure to keep food at least 6 inches from heat source. And don't forget to flip meat often, at least every minute. Those are some good tips for safely grilling meats. Number 3 from the recommendation is to limit consumption of fast foods and other processed foods high in fat, starches, or sugar. The Western diet, which is usually high in fat and sugar, the research is showing that it can increase testosterone levels, which is a concern for individuals who have sex hormone-dependent prostate cancer. So it is, when it comes to drinking sugary beverages, my recommendation would be to avoid as much as possible. It is definitely best to drink water and other unsweetened beverages. If you really like juices, fruit juice, I would recommend 100% real fruit juice, and make sure you limit the serving to no more than 1 serving per day. And when it comes to the artificial sweeteners, The data on artificial sweetened drinks were assessed as being too few, too inconsistent, and too low quality to reach conclusions. And usually the sugar sweetened beverages provide energy, but may not provide satiety in the same way food does, which can lead to excess energy intake and weight gain. And indirectly, that can increase the risk for at least 12 types of cancer. So my best recommendation to limit real fruit juices, no more than 1 serving a day, and if possible, try to have water instead and unsweetened beverages. If you're like the average American, more than half of your diet is filled with processed foods. Many of these foods are full of added sugar and fat, and they contribute to overweight and obesity. This is important for cancer prevention because obesity is linked to higher risk, and healthy diet links to lower risk for many cancers, as well as other chronic diseases like type 2 diabetes and heart disease. Using diet data from over 9,000 participants in the US National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, they compared the diet high in ultra-processed foods with the diet in the unprocessed and minimally processed foods. And what they were able to find that the diets, the more ultra-processed foods Americans ate, the less protein, fiber, vitamin A, C, D, and E, and also the minerals, potassium, and calcium they got. And they had more added sugars, saturated fat, and overall carbohydrates in their diet. And conversely, those with the higher amount of unprocessed, minimally processed food, they had overall higher diet quality with more nutrients like fiber, potassium, and vitamin C, and less added sugar and saturated fat. So the recommendation as much as possible to try to avoid those processed foods if you can. The next recommendation would be to achieve and maintain a healthy weight. It is a good idea to know your BMI, the body mass index. The way you can calculate and to know your BMI is you can use your weight in kilograms, and you can divide that by height in meters square. And that number will provide you your BMI. For example, if that number, your number will be within the range of 18.5 to 24.9, that would be considered a normal BMI. In case if it's over 25, in between 25 and 29, which will be considered overweight, that will be a good idea to try to decrease or lose some weight by eating healthier and exercising more, just because there's so much benefits of trying to maintain your healthy weight. More recent research is showing a possible link between obesity and several blood-forming cancers such as leukemia and lymphoma. So what is a healthy weight? It is a good idea to know how to calculate your weight. Usually, generally for females, if you're 5 feet, for example, it's 100 pounds for the first 5 feet. And then every inch after that, you add additional 5 pounds. So for example, if you are 5'2", usually it should be about 110 pounds, plus or minus 10%. And for men, it's 106 pounds for the first 5 feet and 6 pounds additional for every inch after that. It is also a good idea to know your calories, just because every time you see a calorie, you want to know your calories so you can compare and see if you're over-consuming or under-consuming. This is just one example of calculating an easy calculation to know your calories. For female, you can use your body weight in pounds, and you can multiply that number by 10. And don't forget to use an activity factor. If you are not that active, you can use 1.2 for an activity factor. If you're an active person, you can do 1.5. And for men, you can use your body weight in pounds, and you can multiply that number by 11. And then once again, don't forget to add activity factor depending how active you are. That will give you just a general idea for your calorie needs. How can you reduce calories to lose weight? There's at least two ways you can do that. One is either you can subtract 500 calories every day to lose 1 pound of fat per week, or you can subtract 250 calories daily and burn 250 more calories through exercise to lose 1 pound of fat per week. For people already overweight or obese, even modest weight loss may reduce cancer risk. The American Cancer Society joins the American Heart Association in recommending at least 30 minutes, but preferably 45 to 60 minutes of moderate to vigorous activity on at least 5 days per week to prevent weight gain and fat accumulation. So in addition to healthy lifestyle, healthy diet, make sure you're trying to exercise as well. The next recommendation, number 5 from that list, is to limit consumption of alcohol. Alcohol intake is associated with increased cancer risk for oral cavity, larynx, esophagus, liver, and breast. If you are drinking alcohol, we want you to maintain that no more than 2 drinks per day for men, and for females, it is no more than 1 drink. And it is also a great idea to understand what's a standard drink size for alcohol. For beer, it's 12 ounces. For wine, it's 5 ounces. And if it's a hard liqueur, it's 1 ounce. That's considered a standard drink size. Number 6 from the recommendation is to increase fiber to 30 to 35 grams per day. Dietary fiber found in whole plant foods is associated with reducing the risk of different types of cancer. It's a key component of foods with the strongest evidence for reducing the risk of cancer. The research is showing for every 10 grams of dietary fiber, there is an associated 10% lower risk of colorectal cancer. Whole grains were particularly linked to a lower risk. Fiber adds bulk and reduces the time carcinogens are exposed to the digestive tract. And fiber also promotes growth of healthy bacteria in the GI system in your gut. And this is just a few examples of very high fiber foods, just to name a few. For example, if you eat peas 1 cup cooked, that can provide 8.8 grams of fiber, which is pretty high. Black beans, 1 cup cooked, has 15 grams of fiber. And blackberries, for example, if you eat 1 cup raw, provides 7.6 grams of fiber. As you can see, if your diet is rich in plant-based foods, vegetables, and fruits, you can easily obtain that amount. Plant and whole grain foods are not only rich in fiber, but they're also rich sources of a wide variety of nutrients like antioxidants, immune boosters, phytochemicals, and they are also anti-inflammatory. They have anti-inflammatory compounds. And all this play key roles in preventing cancer. So you get a lot of benefits when your diet is rich in plant-based foods. And when selecting fruits and vegetables, make sure you keep the colors of the rainbow in mind. You want your diet to be from different colors because each different color provides a different phytochemicals. And phytochemicals are compounds that are produced by plants. They are found in fruits and vegetables, grains, beans, and other plant sources. Some of these phytochemicals are believed to protect cells from damage that could lead to cancer. So make sure you include variety of colors. And you don't forget the spices. Spices are loaded again with phytochemicals, vitamins, and minerals. And when you're adding spices to your meals, that's an easy way of decreasing the salt intake. And in a few slides, I'll talk about the sodium recommendation, and using spices will definitely help you to decrease the salt intake. The next recommendation is to increase omega-3 fat intake. Omega-3 fatty acids are cardioprotective, so it's good for your heart, and it's also anti-inflammatory, and it may reduce inflammation. Both EPA and DHA up to 3 grams daily are considered safe. There was a woman's healthy eating and living study showed that consuming more than 73 milligrams per day of EPA and DHA from food reduced breast cancer events and all-cause mortality. Risk of endometrial cancer significantly reduced in females with BMI of less than 25 who had greater intake of omega-3. So the foods that are high in rich in omega-3 are fatty fish like salmon, nuts, avocados, olive oils, olives, or you can just take omega-3 supplements. The last recommendation from the guidelines, number 8, says, do not use supplements for cancer prevention. Evidence indicates that dietary supplements can be protective against cancer or it can cause cancer. Based on 6 randomized controlled trials, smokers who take high dose of beta-carotene are at increased risk for lung cancer. And based on the results of the selenium and vitamin E cancer prevention trial suggests that high-dose vitamin E supplement may promote a moderate increase in risk for prostate cancer. So the recommendation is to obtain your vitamins and minerals from plant-based sources versus supplements. You would only need to take a supplement if you have a deficiency or if it's prescribed by your doctor. So what is a healthy diet? A healthy diet is a diet with nutrient-rich foods. Many Americans are overweight but undernourished. So first begin with the base of nutrient-dense foods. Many of our most nutrient-rich foods are also low in calories. So you want to make sure your diet is rich in nutrients. Let's look at some healthy protein sources that you can incorporate to your diet. For example, fish, especially fat fish like salmon or tuna, it's a great source of healthy protein, and it also contains omega-3 fatty acids and vitamin D. Or you can select poultry, such as lean chicken, or make sure it's skinless. Or vegetarian sources of protein, such as bean, lentil, nuts, and whole grains, such as quinoa, just to give a few examples. Fruits and vegetables. When it comes to fruits and vegetables, the recommendation is aim for at least 5 servings daily. 7 or more is more desirable, but if you cannot, make sure at least 5 servings a day. Fruits and vegetables are high in vitamins and minerals that support the immune system. They're high in antioxidants and phytochemicals, and they're naturally low in calories and fat and high in fiber. And antioxidants and phytochemicals are nutrients that are naturally found in foods that protect and repair damage done to your cells. It's found in high amounts in fruits, vegetables, whole grain, beans, and nuts. And these substances protect you from cancers and other chronic diseases such as diabetes and heart disease. And you want to make sure you choose a variety of dark colored fruits and vegetables when you're eating fruits and vegetables. And don't forget about the whole grains. Whole grains are also great sources of fiber. When selecting whole grain, make sure it's 100% whole grain. Just because it looks brown, that doesn't mean it's whole grain. You want to check the nutritional label and make sure you see that it's mentioned it's whole grain. You can experiment with different whole grains such as whole wheat couscous, or you can do buckwheat, quinoa, just to name a few examples. And you want to definitely limit refined grains with added sugars and fat, such as cookies, pastries, cakes, muffins. That's the group you want to avoid as much as you can. Fats and oils. You do need a healthy diet contains healthy amount of fats and oils. You only need a small amount of fat in your diet to prevent essential fatty acid deficiency and to prevent fat-soluble vitamin deficiency, which are vitamins A, D, E, and K. They need a little fat to be absorbed. So make sure your diet contains a good healthy amount of fats, which can come from avocados, or it can come from salmon or fatty fish, or olive oil. You want to avoid or limit saturated fats, animal products, butter, lard, that's rich in saturated fat. You want to limit as much as possible. And definitely avoid trans fats, which are partially hydrogenated vegetable oils, mainly in commercial baked goods, such as in fried foods, donuts, French fries. Try to avoid trans fat as much as possible. And there's some evidence that high fat diet can increase risk of lung cancer, breast cancer, and obesity. Let's further look into the healthy fats. I'm sure you probably heard those names: monounsaturated, polyunsaturated, and omega-3. Those are all the healthy fats. Just to give you some example, for monounsaturated fat, it's olive oil, peanut oil, avocado, nuts, and seeds. Polyunsaturated fats, some of them are vegetable oil like corn, sunflower, soy, and cottonseed oils. Also, nuts and seeds contain polyunsaturated fats. And omega-3 fatty acids found in fatty cold water fish like salmon and mackerel, flax seeds, flax oil, and walnuts. So a healthy meal, it's a balanced meal. A healthy diet contains a good, healthy amount of protein, healthy amount of fats, carbohydrates, the whole grains, and variety of vegetables and fruit. So make sure every time you're eating your meals, it's a balanced meal. So you get all the vitamins, all the minerals, the fiber. This will nourish your body. So briefly, I wanted to look into the salt recommendation. 2020-2025 guidelines recommend for salt to be no more than 1 teaspoon of salt daily, which is about 2,400 milligrams of sodium. However, if you are 50 years old or over, the recommendation is to limit the amount to no more than 1,500 milligrams. The way you can limit the salt intake is by mainly avoiding the processed foods. If you're eating any processed foods, make sure you're checking the food label and try to buy low sodium as much as possible. And it will be considered a low sodium if it's the sodium content shows that it's less than 140 milligrams per serving. And it's important to check the serving size. Here on this slide, I just wanted to give an example of, for this is an example of Campbell's chicken noodle soup. The original version contains 890 milligrams of sodium. The chicken noodle 25% less sodium contains 660 milligrams of sodium. If you choose the home style chicken noodle healthy request, it contains less, 410, 50% less compared to the original version. So when you are selecting any foods that's processed or canned, that's one way of decreasing the sugar and the salt content is when you check the nutritional facts and you opt for the version of low sodium, for example. If a better version is to eat, if you have the time, homemade using no salt added or low sodium will be the best. You can use a lot of herbs, and that can be as low as 65 milligrams of sodium. Here I wanted to look into the sugar recommendation, but this is added daily sugar, not the sugar from fruits and vegetables, but added table sugar. For men, the recommendation is to keep the limit no more than 9 teaspoons daily. And for females, the recommendation is no more than 6 teaspoons a day. And here I just wanted to give you a visualization of how many grams or how many teaspoons of sugar. For example, Coca-Cola has 1 can provides almost 10 teaspoons of sugar, and the Raisin Bran, an example per serving, provides about 5 teaspoons of sugar. So when you're selecting any food, make sure you read the food labels and try to select foods with as low sugar as possible, added sugar. That's beneficial for your health. Here's an example of nutrition facts, and I just wanted to show this slide so you know how to read the food labels. It's important, first of all, to check the serving size. As you can see, this specific nutrition fact has 2/3, the serving size is 2/3, and there's 8 servings per container. So if you finish the whole item for this specific item, you have to multiply 230 by 8 to get the actual calories. Then you want to check, you want to choose foods with lower calories, lower saturated fat, sodium, and added sugars. So make sure you check the total carbohydrates, how many grams of added sugar it contains. For this item, it has 10 grams of added sugars per 2/3 of a cup. And you want to choose foods with more fiber, more vitamins, and more minerals. For this specific items, it has 4 grams of fiber per serving. So this is just the basics how to check nutrition food label. This is an example of what 100 calories looks like in different foods. For example, 9 Lay's chips, that's 100 calories is equivalent to 9 Lay's chips, or about 3 cups of air popped popcorn is equivalent to 100 calories. When we are looking at fruits and vegetables, for a spinach, it's one 16-ounce package of spinach is equivalent to 100 calories. And for blueberries, 1 1/4 cups, it's about 100 calories. As you can see, when you're eating chips, you can easily finish the whole bag, and that's going to be, definitely a lot of empty calories for you. And when you're eating healthy, you're getting all the nutrients, the fiber, and they are low in calories. So that's one way of nourishing your body, eating healthier fruits and vegetables and decreasing the processed foods. You want to start small, but you want to start now. So I wanted to provide a few examples of how you can increase the vegetables and fruits and plant-based meals in your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I'm going to provide a few examples. An example for a breakfast is to make a smoothie with a fresh or frozen fruits, and you can add carrots or sweet potatoes for an extra vegetable serving. Or you can add fresh or frozen berries like banana or 1/4 cup dried fruits to your cereal or oatmeal. Or you can make an egg white omelet with an extra vegetables. You can add onions, peppers, spinach, or any vegetable that you might like. Another example can be a yogurt parfait with berries, peaches, apples, and low-fat granola. If you're eating a pancake or waffle, you can add fresh fruits for sweetness instead of syrup, which has a lot of sugar and empty calories. Those are some examples for breakfast. Here's some example for lunch. For lunchtime, you can add dark green leafy vegetables in your sandwich. You can eat crunchy carrots and celery sticks with your sandwich instead of high-fat chips. That's gonna help you to get all those fiber and vitamin and minerals in. You can add extra chopped fresh or frozen vegetables to your canned or homemade soup. You can load up on lots of vegetables at the salad bar. Make sure you choose dark colored spinach, broccoli, and peppers. Those are all great sources of vitamins and minerals. Or if you need something sweet after lunch, you can pack fresh fruits or individually portioned canned fruits in its own juice. Or you can try frozen grapes or frozen chunks of banana for a treat. Some examples of dinner ideas. You can have bagged salads and pre-cut vegetables on hand, so you can easily use it every day. When you see it, you use it more often. You can make kebabs on the grill with fruits and vegetables, such as squash, onion, mushrooms, or cherry tomatoes, or whatever fruit or vegetable you like. Add extra vegetables to your spaghetti sauce, shredded carrots, zucchini. You can, anytime you're adding, you're increasing your fiber intake, vitamins and minerals intake. You can stir fried vegetables with tofu or chicken, Or you can add more vegetables to your soups and stews and less meat. That's one way of decreasing the meat consumption. Or you can have a big salad with lots of vegetables and beans as your protein source instead of meat. Just a few examples of how to increase fruits and vegetable consumption for your dinner time. Remember, healthy diet and exercise together plays a big role. So when you're making your healthier choices, you want to combine to get the optimal benefits. You also want to include that exercise as well. The recommendation was like 30 minutes, but preferably 45 to 60 minutes a day. And I would like to finish my presentation with one of my favorite quotes. Let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. Remember that food is powerful and you can make changes. The change starts with you. Thank you so much. And I'm ready to answer any questions that you might have.
Well, thank you, Nune, for this wonderful presentation. And you covered such a wide scope of nutritional items, and we so appreciate that. And we really do. We've got some time for questions, and so please type your questions into that Q&A feature found at the bottom of the Zoom window. We've already received a few, so I will start with those. Someone is referring to the slide that you had on red meat, and you spoke about a 12% increase, I believe it was, in cancers, and a 12% increased risk. Does that apply to someone who eats red meat once or twice a month? Perhaps you could just, review that guideline for us again.
Yeah, this is definitely a great question. Yes, so that applies to somebody who's eating meat on a regular basis, which includes, our diet every day. If you're eating a red meat once or twice a month, that doesn't apply for that person. So that study was for participants who would eat red meat on a regular basis every day. And that's the reason why the recommendation is to limit the consumption of red meat, if possible, to no more than 2 to 3 servings per week. So if you're eating red meat once or twice a month, you're okay.
Great. And then another question, was there a safe amount of occasional alcoholic drinks that one, could drink that are not associated with an increased risk of cancer?
Unfortunately not. My recommendation would be, if possible, try to avoid alcohol. But if you're occasionally drinking alcohol, the recommendation, once, like I mentioned, for men, it's 2 servings a day, and for female will be no more than 1 servings a day. And keep in mind the serving size. The serving size is also important. If you're drinking hard liquor, it cannot be more than 1 ounce. If you're drinking 1 ounce, if you're drinking 2 ounces, that's going to be the 2 servings per day. And that will be the recommendation for men, for example. If you're a female, no more than 1 ounce of hard liquor, that's going to be the recommendation. But the latest recommendation is saying, if possible, if you can avoid alcohol, that will be even better for you.
Thank you. Someone else, I think this is really an interesting a comment and a question in one, and maybe you could talk a little bit about this. It's a comment about the heart disease and cancers are reaching high levels. And do you talk a little bit about, do you think that this person is saying that man is basically an herbivore? Can you sort of talk a little bit about what you think about that?
Yes, so far what the research is showing, in general, overweight and obesity, that's what's showing those, heart problems and cancer problems and other chronic issues like diabetes. So try to maintain, that's the reason I was trying to emphasize the importance of maintaining healthy weight as much as possible, because what we are understanding from the research, maintaining a healthy body weight can help you to avoid those chronic illnesses. So my recommendation would be if you cannot avoid meat, for example, if you like eating meats, still try to keep that at least daily. Don't go over the recommended serving size. For example, like 3.5 ounces for the meat, for example. And I would recommend at least maybe increase your exercise if you can. So that kind of you can balance it out. If you're unable to cut down on that on meat, at least increase your daily exercise so you can burn the fat, you can burn it out.
Yeah, I think that's such an important point to bring in that healthy body weight aspect to all of this as well.
Yes.
Someone else is asking, what does a serving of fruit or veggie look like?
Yeah, that's an
Great
excellent
question.
question. Yes. So for a vegetable, if it's uncooked, it's 1 cup. If it's cooked, half a cup. And for example, for a fruit like a medium-sized apple, if it's a banana, if it's a large one, half of that would be 1 serving, or half a cup of berries, for example. If it's berries, that would be considered 1 serving. Yeah, that's an excellent question.
Yeah, and then as a follow-up to that question, is it better if fruits and vegetables are cooked or raw? Where do you get the greatest benefit?
So it's more based on the patient or the population's desire. For example, let's say when you're cooking tomato, you will get, and if you're cooking in oil, you'll get higher amount of vitamin A, for example, and that will be richer in lycopene, which is beneficial, for example, for people who have prostate cancer. So the level might change depending if it's cooked or raw. But if your diet is rich in fruits and vegetables, you don't have to worry too much if you're consuming raw versus cooked. So if you like cooked, try to enjoy it cooked. If you like raw, you can enjoy it raw. But definitely there will be some differences in, let's say, vitamins or minerals when it's cooked versus raw.
Another question. Someone is talking about raisin bran cereal and the health of that. And can you add a supplemental fiber to that to make it more nutrient rich?
Adding supplemental fiber, I would advise to check with the physician. I'm not sure if, for example, if you're in active treatment or the specific condition that you might have. Adding anything supplemental form, I would advise to check with the physician first. But definitely you can add fiber instead. Like, for example, you can enjoy that raisin bran and later you can add fiber naturally by eating, for example, fruits or vegetables. So you can automatically add fiber naturally. But from a supplement form, I would advise to check with the physician first.
Great. Someone else is asking, are there any special diet that you could recommend for someone with multiple myeloma?
There unfortunately isn't any special diet for multiple myeloma. If you don't have any other, besides multiple myeloma, if you don't have any other conditions, it would usually be regular diet. If you're undergoing, for example, treatment at this time, you want to make sure, for example, if you're eating meats and fish, it's cooked well so you don't get any foodborne illnesses. It's just more like food safety. And you want to make sure you're getting good quality proteins, fiber, vitamins, and minerals, but there isn't any special diet for multiple myeloma. Yes, that's a good question.
Right. And then we've got time for this. If someone is asking about showing the slide again, the Eat a Rainbow slide, I also would love to see
Sure.
that slide again as well, if you don't mind.
Of course.
Finding that and sharing it with us. And I'll also take a minute here to let everyone know that this webinar is being recorded and will be available on our website. Also, if you would like a copy of the slides, you can certainly email us at info@cancersupportla.org. So while we're waiting for
Oh,
that,
this is the slide for the rainbow, the colors of the rainbow.
yeah, and I think that's it's such a great visual for us, and
Mhm.
I think the foods you list there are helpful and
Yes, yes, and
great
this
to be
just
healthy.
easy way of visualizing the different phytochemicals from different fruits and vegetables. Like each, like for example, the red is rich in lycopene, you know, the orange and the yellow, the beta carotene and vitamin C's and so on. Just because each color provides a specific phytochemicals, it's good to include a variety in your diet.
Thank you for that.
Mhm.
And then some additional questions as well. We've got time for a few more. This is a question about breast cancer survivors.
Mhm.
Should breast cancer survivors avoid dairy? And
Mhm.
what about sugar?
Yeah, that's we get that question a lot as well. um, what's the recent research showing for the breast cancer survivors? They can have dairy products with the limit, you know, 2 to 3 servings per day. There were studies conducted in Asia when people consume soy-based and dairy products a lot. And what they're showing, the risk of cancer, breast cancer, is low. So recommendation when it comes to dairy, it's a great source of protein and it's a complete protein. It contains all the amino acids. So you can definitely enjoy it. Not only that, dairy products contain calcium and the recommendation is to consume about 900 milligrams of calcium daily. And that's one easy way of obtaining the calcium by eating, you know, cheese, yogurt, or for example, milk daily. And when it comes to sugar, the recommendation is to avoid added sugar or limit added sugar, but not the sugars from fruits or starchy vegetables, because like I mentioned already, they contain great amount of fiber and vitamins and minerals. So you don't have to avoid the sugar from natural sources, but you want to avoid limit added sugars. If you remember on one of my slides, it was for men, no more than 9 teaspoons added sugar, and for females, no more than 6 teaspoons of added sugar.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
Can you talk a little bit about organic versus non-organic,
Mhm,
and
mhm,
then in relation to, and I'm assuming this question is in relation to fish, but then farm raised versus live
mhm,
caught.
mhm,
So
mhm.
could you talk a little bit about?
Yes. When it comes to organic fruits and vegetables, if you can avoid, you can definitely buy the organic. I'm sure you probably saw the 30,000. There's some vegetables that have higher amount of pesticides and chemicals in them. Like for example, an apple or strawberries or grapes. Those are a few from that list that are higher in pesticides. If possible, you can try to at least buy those foods organic. If you cannot, for example, afford to buy organic, it's better to still eat inorganic than completely avoid, because you would get a lot of benefits still from eating fruits and vegetables versus avoiding just because it's not organic. Yeah, and when it comes to the fish, definitely it's better if it's not farm raised. If you can buy like wild caught, that's better for you for sure, versus farm raised.
And then I'm seeing another question
Uh-huh.
that talks about the cost of eating healthy. And
Mhm.
there was also a question that came in at registration as well that talked about accessibility and cost of
Mhm.
eating healthy, and that sometimes processed foods are cheaper. And
Mhm.
so, how do we navigate this space of eating healthy when it's can be so much more costly? What are some recommendations that you recommend?
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah, I feel like it would be important, if possible, to prioritize it. If possible, maybe once a week, if you can find the time to buy in bulk and kind of prepare in advance, if that can help you. That's like the journey of starting to eat healthier, like you're investing long term for your health, if possible. I know on a short term, definitely sometimes buying fast food will be cheaper. You can grab and go. It's easy, it's cheap, but it's also very high in calories and added fat and added sugar. So what I can suggest, if possible, once a week, if you can spend a little time maybe doing the grocery shopping or planning in advance, like meal planning and cooking for a few days, if that's possible, that can help to minimize the cost. I think that's like one strategy that you might use to save time and minimize cost if possible.
Yeah, that's a great recommendation. Thank you for that. Is there a daily vitamin that's recommended, for those experiencing a cancer journey to take? And then a follow-up question to that is, how about methylated B vitamins?
Mhm. For daily multivitamins, if your diet doesn't contain a lot of fruits and vegetables, that would be safe. But once again, I would advise to check with your physician if you are in active treatment. It's always a great idea, even if it's just a daily multivitamin, to check. When it comes to specific vitamins and minerals, we don't recommend it unless there is a deficiency. If they check your lab levels, if there is any deficiency, then in that case you can take specific vitamins and minerals. But if you don't have any deficiencies, we wouldn't recommend that. Usually daily multivitamin is safe, but in case if you are in active treatment, make sure you check with your physician first, because I know sometimes they can interfere with the treatment.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Can you recommend a cookbook that is user-friendly?
Uh-huh. That's a great question. I think I have to get back on that question. And the reason is because when I cook at home, usually I don't follow recipes, to be honest. I just buy my groceries and then I cook. I have to check with my colleagues to see if they have any good recipes, and I can email you a list.
That's great. That's great. We just need to have you come and cook with us. um, and then can you, we just have time for a couple more, but someone is asking, can you please discuss foods that are good for prebiotics and probiotics and the timing of eating them?
Yeah, plant-based foods, like for example, bananas or yogurt and like some garlic, those are all examples of pre and probiotics. When you're eating prebiotics, you're feeding your good gut bacteria, and in your gut it becomes probiotics. They're feeding on them and becoming probiotics. So definitely when your diet has a lot of fruits and vegetables, you're already not only the fiber also feeds on the good bacteria, but it's also rich in prebiotics. And for example, if you're eating a yogurt, that contains some probiotics. And definitely those are all great for your gut microbiome. And like the latest research is showing how beneficial and how important the GI microbiome is when it comes to overall health as well. There's a lot of research going on that right now, the microbiome.
That's great. Thank you.
There's a lot of fruits and vegetables. Just a few that came in my mind was like bananas and yogurts and garlic, just a few names.
And then there are a couple of questions about eating tofu frequently, and is soy safe?
Mhm.
So can you address that as well?
Yes. Definitely soy and tofu would be appropriate. They're great sources of protein, plant-based protein for you. So if you're trying to cut down on red meat consumption, that's a way of increasing the protein. In case if you don't like legumes like beans or lentils, that's definitely safe for you. And I would recommend you to have it if you like it. It's a great source of protein.
Great. And then Just an additional question, and I think we'll end with this. Do you recommend herbal supplements or sort of this more holistic approach to treatment?
Herbal nutritional supplements. I personally wouldn't recommend herbal supplements. Depending what type of herbs it has, it's hard to say because some of the herbal supplements may have very high concentration dosage of certain herbs that may not be safe. So just because of that, anytime, like for example, my patient is asking a specific herbal, first I have to investigate, look into it, see what type of ingredients it has, the dosages, and see if they're on active treatment, if it's going to interfere. So it's hard to comment on this question. I can advise to check with the physician, or if there's any dietitian they're seeing in person, to closely check for that question or give a better answer.
Thank you. And we did have one recommendation on a cookbook, um,
Uh-huh.
and it's at the very bottom of the questions. And Abby, maybe you could even put this in the chat if other folks want to see it. It's called The Cancer Fighting Kitchen by Rebecca Katz, and it won the James Beard Award in 2010. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I have to look into that too.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that recommendation. And well, we are at the end of our time. And Nune, I want to thank you for your time today, for sharing your expertise with us, for what a rich presentation and discussion. Thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
your expertise. And we have one final slide that we'll share. So again, to say thank you for joining our Cancer Support Community Los Angeles webinar today. Again, thank you to Nune, but we really want to thank you, our attendees, for your engagement with us and for your participation and your thoughtful questions. Again, if you want to learn more about Cancer Support Community Los Angeles, you can visit our website. You see it here. If you have any questions about today's presentation, or you would like to receive a copy of the slides, please email info@cancersupportla.org. And then we put up a couple of opportunities for you that are in person, that are taking place tomorrow. Or not, one is taking place tomorrow, one is taking place next week. We have an in-person Shakti yoga course that will start tomorrow at 11:45. You can find that on our website in the calendar section, and you can register there. And then next week, Wednesday, April 10th, 2024 at 2:30, we are having a sound bath class that is in person. And we welcome you to join those classes with us and to reach out to us again at info@cancersupport with any questions that you may have. Thank you. Have a great evening, everyone. And we'll see you at the next webinar. Take care.